the black and white can work together as long as we get paid.
Check the technique. Check the technique. Check the technique. Check the technique.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
This is episode 176 of Gundam at MAHQ live.
Ooh, yeah, let's go. Oh my god, I can't believe we're doing this.
Why are we doing this?
We'll find out tonight.
Why do anything?
Exactly.
I'm Chris Guanche, and who the hell are you again?
My name is Sober Ryu. I know it's been a while.
I know some people were asking if you were dead and buried.
Oh yeah, I was like Ryan Reynolds on the cell phone, calling for help. Wait for somebody to come rescue me. It took a while. But I'm glad to be back, man, and it's good to talk to you again, man. It's been too long.
The feeling is not mutual.
Oh well, shit. Oh man, but it's.
So for those who are listening live, we are live streaming on YouTube, and we have a chat where you filthy people can interact with us.
Absolutely, man. I see in the chat we've got Gundam Pharmacist, Mosquito Valentine, our boy, one of our regulars, Yazi, of course, Joseph Diane. Yo, welcome everybody, man. Thanks for coming out tonight to watch the stream live. And if you're listening to a recording of this, you can, of course, this episode will be uploaded to our audio feed as all our podcasts are, and you can check it out there. But if you happen to catch the audio version of this and you want to know where to check the show out live, you can watch it live on youtube.com/Gundam, MAHQ/live. Never been to the channel before? Go there and hit that follow button, and you'll be made aware whenever we stream live.
So we're going to do things a little differently this time. We're not going to have any Neo's news, but Solber, I believe you have part of a story to spin for us.
Well, if anything, I basically wanted to catch up with you basically on some of the things that have been going on. I know that since we haven't been around the last couple of months, we have basically some new mecha shows that are on television right now. One of them being, of course, the new Macross series, Macross Delta. And I know that's been receiving mixed reviews from all sorts of different people. And I remember talking to you briefly about it. You said you've been enjoying it so far. I have yet to watch any of the episodes, but I know that we'll
Of course.
Yeah. I plan on changing that next week, so I will be watching and getting caught up with all the episodes because I know we have to review the show very soon. So, if anything, we'll be covering that on a future episode of Gundam. And just what are your overall thoughts about the show so far?
I love it a lot. I am liking it at this point more than Frontier, in large part because Hayate is a much more likable protagonist than Alto ever was. And it's a very interesting story delving into the protoculture and exploring it much more than any series up to now has.
Yeah.
And as for the mixed reviews, it's the same people who always complain about Macross the exact same way every single time, who want it to be something that it's not, and who criticize it for not being something that it's never been.
Oh, man.
So I would ignore all of that hatred. But also, given how good this series is, I'd like to give a special two-finger salute to Harmony Gold for their continued dickery and preventing the show.
Yo, that two-finger salute.
I think you know which two fingers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They are being quite dickish with the license, man. I know a lot of people have been wanting to watch the show legitimately, and I know I've been talking to some people and the struggles of having to wait for subtitles for the show.
Well, the good news is, if you have disposable income, the Blu-rays, which of course are Region A, will have English subtitles. So I think that's Studio Duo and Satelite's two-finger salute to Harmony Gold as well.
Absolutely. So at least you can, if you do have a ton of money and you're able to import the Blu-rays, you can watch them legitimately and support the show across the ocean. Holy God, that's a lot of money though.
And for good measure, I'm also giving Harmony Gold the Joaquin Phoenix thumbs down.
Yeah. It's hovering in the middle for a second, and then you turn it down.
Yes, which is that scowl.
Man,
and that disdain plainly written on my face.
No one gives good scowl like Joaquin Phoenix does. But man, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it, and I can't wait to check it out myself. You guys know I like to do live commentaries for shows, at least for some of the shows I'm watching. And if you guys know where to go, bit.ly/Shin Station. Next week, I'll be sitting down and knocking out a bunch of episodes of Macross Delta. So if you guys want to see my reactions, you're more than welcome to check that out. But another show recently got announced. What is it? Transformers Combiner Wars. And did you see anything about that yet?
I haven't. I've been falling off Transformers kind of recently because Robots in Disguise really has not been doing it for me.
Yeah.
And I recognize I'm not the audience for that show, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be for me, and I just am not feeling it.
Yeah, it's I saw, well, I didn't watch Robots in Disguise myself because it looked like it was for a younger demographic, although I meant to watch the pilot, but I saw a couple previews and it didn't speak to me either, so I left that well enough alone. But I did see I saw the prologue to Combiner Wars, and it seems interesting. It seems that like it has the vibe of the current IDW comics, and it didn't seem to have the voice talent that we're accustomed to hearing, though. Prime sounds like he's done by some other voice actor, and Megatron sounds horrible. And I mean, what they showed was pretty much a motion comic, but I wonder how the animation will be in the finished product. I know it's being produced by Machinima, or produced for Machinima, I should say, and it's supposed to be a more adult series. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, man. If it's more in line with Prime, I'm down to check it out. So I guess we'll see what's going to be happening with that. But any news that you can think of that has been happening over the last couple of weeks, or you guys in the chat, if there's anything that you guys know that has come up recently that you guys wanted to talk about, let us know.
We got to mention the news that the apocalypse has been uncanceled.
Yes. Oh my God, practically pulled out of the grave. Thank you, China. Sometimes you do good stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, so you're alluding to Pacific Rim 2 from the sound of it.
Yes, coming out in 2018 and starring John Boyega as the son of Elba.
Yeah, yeah. It's Stacker Pentecost's son. What's it going to be called? Blacker Pentecost?
Yes. Why the hell not?
Or it would be really cool if they call him Stringer Pentecost. I'd lose my damn mind. I'd lose my shit. Oh my god.
I'm going to give him the fan name of Stringer Fintecost.
There you go. Yazi says he posted that on Neo's News. Thank you, Yazi. Well, next episode, we'll have more organized news segment where we'll have pictures and videos and whatever for that. But we decided to take it easy this time with the news. And if anything, thank you guys for contributing to the Neo's News. Continue to do so over on the Mecha Talk forums for Gundam. The thread is still there, so you guys can contribute, and hopefully Neo will be back soon in order to do his whole trusty news segment. Man, we'll be here for 5 hours.
Or maybe he got downsized from corporate layoffs.
Oh, maybe
In the news business.
Oh Lord, Lord King won't stand for it. Oh man. But yeah, I'm excited for Pacific Rim too, man. It makes me wonder exactly how much of a budget they'll have. But I know that Legendary recently got bought out by a Chinese company. I believe it was called Wanda. And the show did, sorry, not the show, but the movie did extremely well overseas, enough for it to warrant a sequel. So seems to be the same story for World of Warcraft too. So not World of Warcraft, but the Warcraft movie that just came out didn't make jack here, but it made tons of money in China, and it's pretty much guaranteeing a sequel for that movie too. So the Chinese box office is starting to make a big difference for some of these blockbusters that are coming out, and I'm glad to see that at least Pacific Rim is one of the benefactors of that. So
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet.
yeah, it can be.
It's good the Pacific Rim did good enough
Yeah.
to warrant a sequel, but also Terminator did really well in China, and that is like
Oof.
thing.
I don't think that franchise is going anywhere for a while anyway. Not before it goes back to the hands of James Cameron, so he can sell it off to someone else who can't make a Terminator movie. I can't wait for that. Terrible. But if anything, I don't know if any of you guys, I've got to ask you, and this is off topic, but recently one of the greatest season finales I've ever witnessed aired on American television, and it was the season finale of Game of Thrones. And I wanted to ask you quickly, since you've been an avid book reader, when did you read the first book? Just out of curiosity.
1999.
So you've been in this for almost 20 years, theorizing,
Unfortunately.
feeling the pain of waiting for each book, while slobs like me get to watch season after season.
Yes.
Being spoon-fed. How was your reaction to just watching season 6 and seeing the show pretty much be without the guide of the books for the most part? How was it entertaining, or were you really upset about the events unfolding?
Winter is here.
That White Raven.
Yes. This whole season and everything that happened basically just makes me say, F off, George R. R. Martin.
Oh.
Finish writing the damn book. You had 5 years to get this book out, and you blew it.
Woo!
And it's like, it's not even a question now of, obviously he's blown season 6, and the next question is, will book 6 even manage to come out before season 7? And I'm leaning towards no. Because he just can't get his shit together.
Well, has he given a report on how far along he is with the 6th book?
He stopped doing that because of all the kerfluffle of books 4 and 5. He would mention his optimistic progress on his live journal, and then he'd keep blowing every single self-imposed deadline. So he stopped doing that entirely because people were getting super pissed. He'd go, oh yeah, it's going great, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I rewrote everything for the 5th time.
Oh my god. He's a perfectionist. I get that, and I can't say that I've read.
Art is never finished. There's just a point where you stop and move on, and there's nobody at an editorial level telling him, dude, just fucking stop, get it done.
Yeah, I
just
can't.
let him rewrite and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite.
As long as it's taking me to get podcast out, I can't talk.
You can't talk, but I can.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially since your actual job is writing, so you know how to meet deadlines and deal with all the pressures of dealing with that. Shout outs to Royston Joseph. He says, finish the book. Inevitably it will.
Yeah,
But
and all this thing about whenever the hell book 6 comes out, there's still book 7 after that. So
Yeah.
the show will be long over before that book ever comes out. Maybe I'll be old. Maybe I'll be dead. Who knows?
that wishful thinking.
I'm picturing, that classic meme image of a skeleton on a bench just sitting there.
There you go.
So that's me waiting for book 7.
You're looking like that dude in Zeta Gundam when they went to that to that colony. That mummified corpse.
Yep.
Yo, that's Chris's status right now.
Yahtzee says, George R. R. Martin, I thought he was too busy being the Gorton's fisherman. No.
There you go. Oh my God. Yo, shout outs to Doc and Dalo. I saw y'all just sliding in. Thanks for coming out tonight. I really enjoyed this season, and it doesn't really bother me if I haven't read the books, admittedly, and I would love to think that maybe the show's going to go its own route, and the books will go their own route, and the readers and the viewers of the show will have different experiences. We've seen that, in other adaptations.
Well, he's told them how it's supposed to all end, and from the way they've made it sound, they'll roughly get to the same point, but how they get there will not be the same.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be some remarkable differences between the two. He even already admitted, in one particular case, the way Hodor. Well, let me not say too much, but a specific event with Hodor plays out a little differently in the book he's currently writing. So I'm interested to see exactly how that does play out when that book finally hits shelves in about 5 years. But
anyway, let's get back to robots before somebody complains.
Let's do. But I've got to say that finale was amazing. And overall, did you enjoy the season?
I think it's one of the best seasons of the show.
Good shit. Yeah, we won't spoil it for you guys, but if you're not caught up on Game of Thrones, give that show check that show out. There's very few people who aren't, but if you're not, give it a shot, man. You got 60 episodes to watch. But
also, always check your baked goods to see what's in them.
Ooh, oh, yo, Shakespeare. Jesus Christ. But yeah, if anything, anything else of note before we jump into tonight's topic?
Since people mentioned it in the chat, we should at least give a little bit of lip service to the new Voltron. Yeah,
we should. Have you had the chance to watch it yet?
I've watched about 5 episodes.
Good stuff. Yeah, I watched the entire show, and I gotta say, I really did enjoy it. Some of the things that threw me off were the vibe of the way the characters interact with each other sometimes, because it had that whimsical feeling. But at the same time, it's from the cats that did Korra and Avatar. So if you watch those shows, which I only watched a little bit of Avatar in the beginning, and that was about it. I'm sure you felt right at home, but for me, it was something I had to get used to. But I do love some of the changes they made to the characters and some of the evolution that they did to the team, and how the team breaks down. I think is one of the coolest things about the show. But
I don't mind the humor and the whimsical tone. The only thing that gets kind of tiresome, because even in just 5 episodes, they really kind of overdo it, is the fat jokes. It's like, okay, fat jokes. Been around for decades, not getting any funnier.
Oh, man.
Can we do something else?
Yo, hunk. He does love food. That goo. Yeah, they play a little bit too much on that. But if anything, the writing gets a little bit smarter as the show goes along. I'm certain we'll touch upon Voltron again once Chris finishes the show, and we'll review it in a future episode of Gundam. But I overall have positive things to say about the show. I like the fights, especially. They don't rely on Voltron in every episode, which I think is really cool, because that was a problem with the original show, is that Voltron was a crutch, and every episode they had to have a form blazing sword and destroy a Robeast. And in this show, they use Voltron when they have to, and it's always smart in how they use it, and they run into true challenges in the show and have to use intelligence in order to take their enemies down. So that already shows me how the writers are taking this material and trying to move it on to the next level. And I really commend the people who are producing the show right now. I'm looking forward to the next season when it drops. All right. Well, if that is it, we're going to jump in to our main subject tonight, which is episodes 16 through 25 of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans. Basically, we're going to have an open-ended discussion about Iron Blooded Orphans, and we're going to talk about just the moments that happened in this season, and the high points, the low points, things of note. And I'll start off with one of the earliest moments in the season. In episode 16, actually, Fumitan's sacrifice that she makes, and her the conflict that she goes through with her mission versus her friendship with Kudelia. As a character, man, did you feel that Fumitan actually was developed well in the series?
Yeah, I'm digging back here since, finished this show a while ago. And
Yeah.
it took us a long time to get to this point. I thought she was okay. I never really got much of a vibe from her that there was that much of a friendship between her and Kudelia. It seemed like always more sort of one-sided from Kudelia's side, and that Fumitan put up with her sort of like spoiled brat that she's in charge of. And we saw that early on did not like her at all.
Yeah. She, for the most part, you can see her rough upbringing on Mars, and the fact that she, pretty much had no respect for Kudelia, and eventually was able to warm up to her, and that whole sad story that led up to her death when she realized that she couldn't let the assassination for Kudelia go through. It was a touching moment. I just wish she was more than just a footnote that would help to develop Kudelia as a character, because before that point, Kudelia was still kind of, not the strong leader that we wanted her to be. And go ahead.
I just think also with Fumitan that the whole episode leading up to her death, which is named after her, as Gundam loves to do so often, it was just unnecessarily drawn out because it was just so obviously telegraphed that it would be happening that you're just kind of counting down the moments, waiting for it to happen. Like, is it going to be here? Is it going to be here? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, this show has a problem with telegraphing deaths. It's pretty obvious when they set up someone to die in the show.
It's one thing when someone throws up some death flags and then they die, but when they have like flags that have flags planted in them and then have flags planted in those flags, and they're waving one of those in each arm, so we're talking like 6 flags total. That's just too many flags.
Good Lord.
I know you're supposed to raise your flag, but just like raise 1 or 2 flags, not 6.
Exactly. I just don't understand how they couldn't have been more subtle with it, or tried to surprise us. There were some deaths that were surprising, and we'll get to those later. But there was another death that was actually terribly telegraphed, and that was the death of one of my favorite characters in the series, my man Biscuit. I was upset.
Upset that he died, or that his death was so telegraphed?
Oh, that shit was wide open, man. Like I could tell from the previous episode that it was going to happen when he and Orga had the falling out, and I like the schism between them, because Biscuit had valid concerns. After the shit went down with his brother, and then knowing that they're putting their lives on the line for maybe a cause that may be well over them, and maybe it's time to go home and pack it up so that way we don't all get killed. Biscuit was trying to grasp the reality of the situation, and Orga, he wanted to press forward, which I'm also behind too. I don't want to see them fail at their mission, but at that point in time, I think Biscuit had a valid argument, and maybe they were going into this a little too hastily. And then, of course, shit goes down, and he dies in a pretty bad way. Oh,
And killed by such a inane, stupid character.
I know,
No
I
less.
know. Which is why when something happens later on, I stood up and I applauded. But we'll get to that.
Yes.
Oh, and but that character, what was her name again? It was
Carta.
Carta. Thank you. I was want to call her Magna Carta, but
Of course you would.
oh my god, I saw all this love for this character before I even got introduced to her in the show when I got caught up in the episodes, and she is two-dimensional at best.
I think the love for her may come from who plays her.
Who plays her?
Oh, that would be Kikuko Inoue, age 17.
Oh wow, for real? What? Well, I guess I can understand the fan base behind her then, but yeah, she just seemed to not really have much dimension to her at all. Even when we found out their backstory, how she and Galeo and McGillis, they all grew up together, and she was kind of like the tsundere of the bunch, but she had a bit of a Love Jones for McGillis. Even then, it really didn't give that character much dimension to me at all.
But she's not even tsundere or yandere because she just comes across bitchy on the outside, and then deep down inside is still bitchy.
Yeah.
So you got the dere, but that's all there is.
It's a bit of a problem, but when I saw her inevitable end, as we see in a later episode, well, basically after the death of Biscuit, for those who don't know, the group needs to have a regroup basically, and Orga is out of it for a moment because he's kind of lost his confidence until Mika pretty much snaps him out of it, and he rallies the troops to move forward to Edmonton. Was it Edmonton? I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
And that train ride, holy shit! One of the greatest scenes in this show, to me, is the moment where she wants to have a duel with Mika at the train, and he gives no fucks about her rules and about her what she wants to do. He just tears into her completely, and it's one of the most satisfying one-sided fights I've ever seen. Holy shit! I was like, man, I feel bad for her because she didn't know who she was fucking with, but but she should have known by this point in time. And
Given that you had before that Hunk McStrongman shot her dudes while they were doing their poses and doing their little slogan.
It just blasted out and not even caring. Yo, Gundam Pharmacist says, language soul, bro. Thank you, Captain America. I appreciate it.
And a lot of people at the time were complaining that what Mika did was dishonorable and not fair and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And number one, when has he ever shown that he gives a shit about what anyone considers to be honorable or fair? He is someone who fights with almost animal-like instinct to stay alive.
Yeah, he cuts right to the chase.
And two, who in Gallarhorn, especially someone from the Seven Stars, what consideration do they deserve? They're all shitty people.
Exactly.
Who oppress the entire Earth sphere and the Outer spheres and the Mars sphere. So fuck them. Who cares about them? Why do they deserve any decent treatment when they do not give any decent treatment to all the people who suffer under them?
Exactly. Like, they didn't play by the rules, so why should these kids that are on the back foot the entire series, they're going to play by the rules? How are they going to survive?
I mean, if we want to talk about fair fights and who deserves fair fights, back to the Dort colonies and the fact that Gallarhorn pre-sabotaged the crappy worker mobile suits that they knew the colonists would be using against them, so that they had absolutely zero chance of ever actually accomplishing anything. And then on top of that, let's do a false flag attack and massacre all these civilians. But yeah, those people deserve a fair fight.
And that's the whole point. Gallarhorn is a brutal organization. They're a war machine, and they have these people that are involved in the organization that really don't care about who they're killing, and they're kind of just more obsessed with their own status. I mean, the rare exception, of course, is Galeo. He seems to be like a decent dude, But even he was
That's one guy.
That's one guy compared to the entire organization. Even a dude like Ein, who was a Martian, who gets shitted on, but he wants to serve this organization and move up the ranks, and he doesn't care about his fellow Martians basically, and he's willing to take out children, and he will stoop to scumbag levels in order to try to achieve his means, even if he loses his humanity doing it. It's pretty messed up, and I can't blame a character like McGillis wanted to take down the organization, even at the cost of his own, the cost of the people that he came up with, which we'll get into, I'm sure, soon. But let's see here. Any moments? Well, actually, right here on Twitter, Shellcod, aka Panzer Armory, he says the best part of IBO Season 1 was how brutal Mika was in those fights. Especially, he was basically the anti-Kira. It was pretty much. He didn't
Or for more recent example, the anti-Kyo.
The anti-Kyo, I believe Yazi actually said something about that too. He says, I've said this to Soulbro before, but Mika is truly the grandchild that his old man Flit wanted and needed in age. The anti-Kyo. I see you guys still have a lot of love for Kyo. Good lord. But yeah, getting back to how Mika murdered that chick.
She got what she deserved.
She did. I felt bad for anybody. I felt bad for was Galeo, who pretty much carried her off to the throes of death for the most part. He quote unquote rescued her in her mind, thinking that she was McGillis, but thinking that he was McGillis. Which do you feel that Galeo kind of had the feelings for her, and he kind of went with unrequited love, or you think it was just friendship between them?
I never got any indication that he had the hots for her. Obviously, she had a thing for McGillis that's totally one-sided because all he cares about is his ambitions.
Yeah.
He has no room for her and her nonsense.
Well, damn. Gundam Pharmacist says, understanding. You'll get none of that from Mika, sir. You'll get none of that. But
okay, so there is a comment here from Zeta Rise. Did she really deserve it? She was a soldier essentially doing her job. Wouldn't say she deserved it. I would say she was, because she was an incompetent elite who had no business being in command of one soldier, let alone a fleet, and she is there only because of nepotism and her last name and the fact that she's one of the 7 stars. So completely incompetent elite who has no skills, no abilities, and wants to, fight against Tekkadan just because she's part of this tired system. Yes, she deserves what she gets because she is a symbol of that system as much as anyone else that high ranking.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, she did dumb shit on the battlefield, and you don't. If anything, if you're going to sit there and pose on the battlefield or throw out these arbitrary rules, Queensberry rules for a battle, when the people you're fighting fight with guerrilla warfare, you're gonna get mowed down. I'm sorry. If this was G Gundam, that'd be a different story. But this ain't it at all. So yeah, it's.
Although this just kind of remind me, now you mentioned G Gundam, those early days when Domon was so brash and rude, and he would just interrupt fights and just not give a shit and go at people like that.
Yeah. That devil may care attitude, just going in. But yeah, Yazi says the only understanding from Mika is a bullet to the head and a POW bunker through the through the chest. Oh, that shit is horrible. But yeah, after the death of Biscuit, there's a noticeable change in the group as they get closer to Edmonton, and they become kind of possessed on getting Cordelia to her goal, and not only Cordelia, but what's that gentleman's name?
Makanai.
Makanai, yes, the man with the greatest beard in all of Gundam.
gravity-defying beard.
I cannot understand it, but I'll roll with it. When they get to Earth, which is a great moment, but in the series, by the way, I love the fact when they get to Earth, which we knew was all coming. It was the ultimate goal. When they get there, they realize that they've been duped, and they got to get this guy. They got to get this guy to the Greek, basically, and get him to Edmonton, so that way he can reach Parliament and be able to keep his tenure going. And in order for Cordelia to have a shot at representing the Martian people and being able to get autonomy eventually, which I guess they kind of got autonomy, but they still have to work out some of the kinks and details for that. But let's see, any other major moments that come to your mind at all that you want to jump into?
Well, might as well just get to the end.
Yeah.
And I think the highlight for the end of season 1 is not at all the battle between Mika and Ein, but McGillis becoming the sharingest shar that ever shard.
Oh my sweet Christ, man. I love that scene so much because when he lays the heavy shit on Galeo and he's bawling at the heel turn, I feel if there's anyone I felt bad for was Galeo, because he had good intentions, but he would have never reached him. He was more in line with being a company man, although he would have probably been a better commander in Galahorn than anyone else. But he did not move fast enough for McGillis, and McGillis knew he couldn't bring him in on his plan, because I think his honor and duty would have never allowed him to go along with that plan in the first place. But the back and forth between them was insane. I loved that Galeo brought up Carta and how she was used like a fucking puppet.
As was he. And, oh, by the way, I'll take good care of your sister.
That was the best line. Holy shit. I lost it. It was like, don't worry, I'll take care of your sister. That was like just rubbing salt in the wound.
And this I feel like worked really well compared to what it's harkening back to, because if you look at MSG, absent the origin, you see that Garma and Char are friends, and we're told that they're great friends. But if you go by the TV version, pretty much from the moment they cross paths, Char is trying to kill him at every opportunity, almost cartoonishly.
It's like this relationship between these two is more fleshed out than the relationship between Garma and Char, and that's including all the stuff we got from Gundam the Origin. This one seems to be a bit more fully realized between them, because Galeo is more than just a nepotism-based dandy. He actually has skill, and he actually is an overall decent man.
Even if you include the origin, both the manga and the anime, you can see that Char never cared about Garma, and that being friends with him was just a means to an end. Whereas I get the impression from the entire first season of Orphans that McGillis did consider Galeo a friend, but sacrificed him regretfully for the sake of his ambitions.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just, it has a lot more depth to that, and when the heel turn happens, when the traitoring happens, which is not a word, of course, but when it happens, it is all the more powerful when it does. Mao says favorite moment of season 1. Gundam X Mao, I should say, says favorite moment of season 1 is Montag's heel turn. I felt really bad for Galeo. # dead dandy. # the villain we need.
Or I suppose you could say that McGillis is good at acting like he considers Galeo to be a really good friend.
Yeah. He acted. I know there was some feelings there, because you can see the anguish on McGillis's face when he's doing what he's doing, because this is him getting his hands dirty instead of using other people to get his hands dirty, which I respect with McGillis as much as I believe he's going to become one hell of a villain in season 2. At least in this part, he was doing his part to make things, usher things forth with his own ability. And I had to respect that, even though he was killing off Galeo, which I don't believe is dead. I don't think Galeo is dead at all.
You never think anybody's dead.
Hey, man, look. I've been right once.
You know what? Suzaku did it.
Suzaku did it indeed.
What reason-
that was not mine.
I know. Well, what reason do you have to believe that he would be alive?
Because of Ein. Ein is the foreshadowing of what's going to happen to Galio. I think he's going to be revived in a similar way that Ein was, and he's going to become a cyborg inside of his mobile suit for the most part. They're going to rebuild it, maybe some organization, and he'll be brought back because he still has elements in the story, and I think if he is revived, he's going to be a thorn in the side of McGillis, because McGillis will be in a position of power at that point in time, and I want to see someone to be able to challenge him and take him on. So that'll be interesting to see if there's going to be strange bedfellows in season 2 with Galeo teaming up with the War Boys, or if there's going to be some other way it plays out. But I just think the story still has purpose for him.
Well, ask yourself this: how would any of that make sense from McGillis's perspective?
Yeah.
Given how far he goes for his ambitions, he screws over his own dad
Yeah.
and takes over his family. He engineers Carta's death. He engineers Galio's death. He goes along with his marriage to unite their two houses. If he wants to do all this stuff to destabilize the Seven Stars and Gallarhorn, don't you think he would make damn well sure that he's landing a killing blow on the Chimaris?
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Wouldn't that just be the worst oversight ever for someone who we see has many, many plans and manipulations and is very thorough in all of his manipulations?
Well, here's my question to you. Would you be upset if he does come back in season 2?
Yes.
Oh,
because
shit.
I'm tired of people seemingly being dead and then coming back unscratched, or coming back as robots, or coming back as cyborgs. Stop comic booking all of these deaths. Just let people die and let it be a dramatic end, because it's a great scene of Galio losing his shit and McGillis basically just say like, whatever bro, I'm feeling it. Come at me. Your fists mean nothing to me.
So what you're saying is no Jon Snows here. No resurrections. We don't need them. I think if they write it clever enough, I think they could pull it off. But I see where you're coming from. I think that if they bring him back in a very shallow way, then what's the point then? Because McGillis would be seen as an idiot, not making sure that dude is dead. But I've seen some comebacks in Gundam before, so I'm just interested in seeing how that plays out. But I have a feeling that we'll see him again. I do. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was an awesome development throughout that episode, and I gotta say that conflict was the one that really gripped me, because the fight between Mika and Ein, as good as it was a pretty impressive battle, especially when Mika pretty much sacrifices his arm and his eye in that battle. That was pretty freaking brutal.
I wouldn't say it was that impressive.
You don't think so?
It was well done, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that well done. I mean, look, by comparison, the final fights in the season 1 finale of 00.
Yeah.
Just look at Setsuna versus Graham.
Yeah.
Let alone all the other fights in that episode or the episode before. Like, they were just done a lot better.
Yeah.
The stakes felt higher, and I don't know, it just felt like Ein was like a glorified mid-boss.
Yeah.
Season end boss.
Yeah, I started to just really hate his character halfway through the series, especially how obsessed he was getting. I get it. He's that Captain Ahab character where he has got to be obsessed with killing off these kids because his so-called he killed my commander, so I've got to avenge him. It's like, dude, you're taking on children. Come on, man. Are you
They're
serious?
evil children.
But the children of the corn. Quite literally, too. Yo, Mars and ethanol. but
it's like at the end, he was a broken record because he just became more and more obsessed over getting revenge, and there's only so much you can take of Krankney. But it's also a good illustration of the depths that people will fall into because of obsession and the madness that it will drive them to of turning themselves into machines.
Yes.
But overall, he's not a compelling season end boss. It's like it feels like you're playing a game and you get to this boss and it's a mid-level boss, but then suddenly the game ends. But you know that there's a final boss and you haven't gotten to him yet.
That's true. That's true. He was pretty shallow at the end of the day, and he seemed to be more of an obstacle than he was an actual character that had any kind of substance to him, or any kind of substantial stakes. Just a guy obsessed with killing women and children.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And also the sort of like blink and you'll miss it moment where Mika just suddenly gets the Elias system and goes full power. It's like I never quite followed what it was that happened in that moment. It just seemed like it just happened because it had to, and he needed a boost to beat Ein and then kick his ass.
You're like a Deus Ex Machina just kicking in all of a sudden for him to actually to win the battle for the most part. I mean, there was at least a cost for him doing that, though, right?
Sure, yes, but it just seems like that understanding came out of understanding lowercase.
Yeah.
Came out of just nowhere. Like, oh, okay, I get it, and then poof. Like, what was the trigger? What did you actually get? What changed?
Yeah, that's true. At the end of the day, Mika's still Mika. Even with his handicap. I mean, he does get the use of his eye and his limb back when he gets inside the suit, but it's going to be interesting to see exactly where that takes him how he deals with that handicap in the second season. I think he'll adapt, but he won't be very much different disposition wise. But let's see. But yeah, outside of the battles, man, did it bother you that nobody died? In
Yes.
the finals, it bothered the shit out of me, man. I was a bit pissed. Like, they showed them go out in the worst ways. And then you see that they're all right in the final shots of the episode. I literally said, what the F? when I was watching it on the final episode. It made no sense to me that all those girls especially should have been toast.
Yep.
Toast. I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
I think it was just sort of a cheap manipulation that episode 24 ends with you thinking that all these people got wrecked.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, it's like, oh no, it's all cool. They're fine.
Yeah, it makes it a little shallow at the end, and I hated that. Not that I wanted to see those characters die, but I thought there would be at least some cost to the battle. I didn't think that Biscuit would have been the last person to die in that group. And I know they want to save some people for the next season and all that, but they can introduce new characters in season 2. We don't have to.
There should have been at least, like, you could have gotten rid of Ozzy. Like, she doesn't do anything important. She's not vital. But if you wanted to illustrate, like, the brutality and sheer lethality of Ein and his suit, somebody needed to die for that purpose.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Because then it shows that with his super powerful, like, psycho graze, basically, he still didn't manage to kill anybody important.
Jesus. All the damage that he did, and it's like what bothered me is the way they shot it, and the way that you saw them go out. I just didn't like the fact that they were obviously deceiving us up until that last point, because it just made you think. Even if only one of them had died, I'd have been fine with that. But to have nobody get killed, come on, dude. That's a bit much. But let's see. Anything else that you could think of about the resolution of the series that you had anything to critique at all? I mean, overall, it was a great first season.
I think it was solid. It could have been better earlier on once they leave Mars. Like, just the whole journey from Mars to Dort takes far too long, and the pace just really was too slow. Like, they were just dragging it out. They didn't, gives the impression that they didn't know what they were doing. And, we did not get an announcement about season 2 until the very end of this first season. So it was not clear, unlike Double O, where it was known from the beginning, that there was going to be a second season. So I'm thinking, like, man, they only have X number of episodes left. How are they going to wrap this shit up? Are they going to wrap this shit up? So it does wrap up pretty decently because they did accomplish the basic goal, which is they got Cordelia to Earth. She gave her speech, and she got what she wanted.
Absolutely.
But there's still a lot more left to be done. So who knows what kind of behind-the-scenes production things were going on. I hope that
Are you still recording?
the writing is a little bit tighter on season 2 in terms of the pacing.
Yeah.
That we get, they would like the tension really starts to ratchet up once they actually get to Dort. But like the 6 or 7 episodes leading up to that, it's like, ugh, space pirates, ugh, asteroids.
So many things. Someone had wrote in the chat. I saw that for a second. They felt like I apologize for missing this, but someone had wrote that they felt that the last 2 episodes were kind of rushed. I kind of got that feeling, especially the way the first part of the 2-parter starts off, where they're already fighting in the city. There was kind of like no initial contact with the forces in Edmonton. You just get thrown into the battle. I could appreciate just the urgency of the situation and being thrown into that, but at the same time, we just get thrown in, and they focus more on the fights than anything else in the episode than the actual overall resolution, which we eventually get. But yeah, I guess you're right. It was a little rushed at the end.
Although I do give props to the show for maintaining that Dugram feel that it had from the beginning, and for being brutal with its combat to the very end, and at least in the first season, not falling into the Gundam trope of massive ramping up of new technology.
Yeah.
Like, I see there's still endless speculation about when, if, how, and should they introduce beam weapons, and it's like, who cares? You know, they're telling the story that they're doing. They're going for, like, brutal melee combat. Let's just stick with that, because Code Geass started off pretty grounded at the beginning, aesthetically speaking, with, you know, the Sutherlands and mecha like that. And then, you know, look at where we are at the end of season 2.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
So I would like to see Orphans maintain this level of technological development. And obviously there's going to be more forms to Barbatos, and there's going to be more Gundams, but I don't want to see crazy leaps in technology.
Especially, and that brings us to this tweet from Heart of Five, the almighty Foofy. He writes, "What were your thoughts on the suits and the Gundams in Iron Blooded Orphans using conventional bullets and shells without beams or lasers?" I loved it. I love the fact that they used blunt objects and bullets. It was a welcome change to not see a beam saber throughout the entire series. Pretty nuts for a Gundam show.
Well, I just answered that question. So
Yeah, exactly. So we got that. Speaking of which, we have a couple tweets from people who have a couple questions for us. And Raw the Raw asks, this is a bit much for a first question, but what has Iron Blooded Orphans Season 1 meant for each of you as Gundam fans personally? For me, it was a refreshing change, especially with the way the series was set up. You had a situation where you didn't start off on Earth, or you didn't start off on a colony. You started off on Mars, and we kind of got a little taste of that in Gundam Age, although that was done terribly with the Mars to Earth to space colony conflict. But this time, the underdogs were Martians. It kind of reminded me of something I'm watching recently, which is Zone of the Enders, and how the people on Mars are treated on Zone of the Enders. It kind of reminded me of that too, where they're treated like just trash and pretty much nothing more than the servants of Earth. So to see them have to rise up and make that long, perilous trip from one end of the from one planet to another was an interesting travelogue to see that all play out and to see how these characters develop. I know Mika was a huge character when it came to controversy. But he didn't bother me all that much. I know that he pretty much runs on one gear, and that is to do whatever it takes to survive. And more so than maybe any other Gundam protagonist. And he, to me, worked as a protagonist. But Chris, any thoughts on this question at all?
yeah, IBO to me was a much needed palate cleanser to wash out the bad taste of age. And yes, I'm sorry to all the darling fans of the show, G-Reco.
Ooh, wow.
Because I don't know if you've been following online, but
Oh, no.
G-Reco has ascended to levels of elite fandom of Evangelion of if you didn't get it, it's because it's too deep for you.
Oh, Jesus. What would they, why would they, like, seriously, did they watch the show?
And there is out there a certain Facebook group, very M-like Facebook group, where they love to criticize MAHQ in all its forms.
Oh, yes.
But particularly for some of us not liking G-Reco, and I will say to those people, suck it. Your show was not special.
They do this.
You're not analyzing some deep piece of art and coming across some philosophical wisdom that all the filthy masses are too stupid to see.
Yeah, it's the same thing they do every time, which is to take the Gundam series that they've been hating on for ages, no pun intended, and then raise it up.
Oh,
And then raise it up as if it's the greatest show ever made. And it's like, for real? Are we serious with this? I mean, G-Reco was terrible. Even Tomino said so. So please just get the F out of here with this. And they were shitting on Tomino too. Now they back him? I mean, now is it not back him, but now is it because they just want to be contrarian to what he says? Is that the deal?
I don't know what to say, but speaking of age, now that it's been 5 years since that show started, I'm starting to see the retroactive rehabilitation of that show.
Yeah.
And I see on places like Reddit and whatnot, people discussing that show and saying that they always thought that it was good and that they don't get why people didn't like it. And it's like, really? Do we have to do this for this freaking show? Is it just not obvious how bad are we just completely forgetting all of history of Gundam?
At this point, I don't even know. I just honestly think they do it to be contrarian. They're all just a bunch of Armand Whites. They strive to be that guy and what he does. It's just it's sickening at this point. I mean, can you actually pinpoint like specific people that actually say the show sucks, and then when the next show comes around, like anybody, and I'm asking you to call out anyone, but like anybody who just has the balls to not be anonymous on those boards. Have you ever seen anybody in particular hate a show and then love it? Yeah,
of course not, because we're talking about years and people change handles and whatnot. But you just see patterns over time in the fandom, and I'm talking, of course, exclusively about the Western fandom.
Yeah.
People used to hate Double Zeta, but now it's beloved. People used to love Zeta, but in certain corners, it's now derided as literally the worst thing ever. So, the fickle fandom has varying opinions on things at varying times.
Yeah, that's true. It's and I think a lot of times they just do it to show off for the most part, just so they can get attention and just piss people off. At the end of the day, they're just being trolls for the most part.
I do want to address a point here from Zeta Rise. Honestly, I just love G-Reco because I'm a fan of social commentary, reflecting on the events of World War II and current events in Japan, with possibly sending soldiers overseas. Well, here's the thing about that. And I know, and this is not an attack on Zeta Rise, but he's bringing up this point I want to discuss. For people who defend shows like this or Evangelion, you can say that a show has social commentary about something, and whether the creator intended that social commentary or not, my comment on that is, what does any of that matter? The whole point of an entertainment product is to tell a good story. And you can say that your story is a commentary on whatever, but if the narrative makes no sense, then that commentary is meaningless, and it's just a way for people to hold up as an example of why it's so great, and just the ignorant, closed-minded masses just don't get it.
Yeah. And shout outs to Money Marks. That person, he or she says it was a really good idea. It just didn't work. it looked and sounded great, but it just wasn't. And yeah, I mean, we had high hopes for not Double O, but we had high hopes for G-Reco when we first started watching it, and there was a lot of promise there. But the story did not come across in any kind of there was no fluidity to that story. It was it was just very, very, very uneven for the most part. You'd get a bunch of stalling and then the 5-minute info dumps at the end of the episode, and it just got tiresome after watching that entire series. It didn't work, and best of luck next time, Tomino.
How about never again?
How
about go retire?
Oh, enjoy your retirement like George Lucas? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that he could have gone out on a very high note with Turn A as his last Gundam project, and he chose to tarnish that with a piece of garbage.
Oops.
That's what I'm saying.
Well then, better luck next life. Better luck next life, I guess. But Austin here, he asks us, what are our hopes and dreams for IBO Season 2? I know yours pretty much is like you want the same level of quality, basically, that you got in Season 1, if not better, for the most part. But go ahead.
I'd like to see tighter writing. I'd like to see more character development and see where Mika goes, because he is mostly static for the season. He does have some development in minor ways, like the kind of whole subplot of wanting to improve himself and becoming literate that carries through a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, through to the end, he's still just Orga's blind and willing killing machine.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see a schism between those two characters, and hopefully we'll get some of that in Season 2. Maybe they're building up to that.
I'm still expecting there's a moment where Orga, in pursuit of their goals, he's just going to end up going all big boss on Mika.
Yeah.
And Mika's going to have a real moment of truth where he's going to have to actually think for himself and determine a course of action of how to do something.
What if Mika becomes the villain and Orga is actually the protagonist in that situation? Then instead, that's what I actually, foresee. If they do split apart and Mika becomes the aggressor, I see that happening more than Orga being the aggressor instead.
Well, I got something for you.
Oh shit!
What if someone discovered a sort of legend?
Oh, the Legend of King Arthur?
Yeah. What if something like that happened? Wouldn't that be something to see?
Oh Christ! Yo, Saji is back, y'all. Confirmed. We'll see. No. I am excited to see what happens. If there's any hope I have for Season 2, I want there to be a time jump. 5 years, at least. I want to see some of the characters grow up, especially since they introduced some really young characters in Season 1, like Cookie and Cracker. If we do see them again, I don't want to see them as kids. And also McGillis's, his bride-to-be. She's kind of young, so if we do see her again, and she plays a part in the future storyline, especially since she's the sister of Galeo, I'd like to see her as an older character. So Amani Mark says 9 years later. It wouldn't bother me, man. It wouldn't bother me at all if it was a good time jump 10 years later even. Because we all started off with these characters as teenagers and young and early 20s or right before late teens for the most part. So it'd be interesting to see them as adults. That's what I'd like. But anything else? Any other predictions?
People will die and mobile suits will be upgraded.
Sweet. Well, Gundam X Mal says, do you think last year's BPO complaint will cause Sunrise to put the kid gloves for Season 2? That's a very good question. I know that did raise a bit of a stink in Season 1 when you see Mika openly capping people, whether it be a guy who's handcuffed or a guy who's inside his cockpit just getting shot. But I don't know if it affected the show's ratings, because I think the show still did pretty well in Japan on the ratings wise, didn't it?
I have no idea, but obviously did well enough to warrant a second season.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good question, Mal. I really hope it doesn't get the show neutered. I hope the show is doing well on Adult Swim, by the way, since it just started airing. For those who don't know, I think they're on episode 5 this week for Iron Blooded Orphans. So you can watch it dubbed now. Exciting. Actually,
I would say about that whole issue,
Mm-hmm.
who gives a shit about what any group complains about? Reading the comments at the time back during, what was it, episode 3, and the negativity around it, it sounds like the same nonsense that groups in America say, and they pretty much have no influence over anything. I mean, I remember back in the day, people complaining about the Kira and Frey sex scene on Seed.
yeah.
And that changed nothing because that's the same show that some episodes later microwaved people alive.
Oh, yeah,
Like
that's
if you were
true.
popcorn.
Yo.
So we saw how bothered Sunrise was about having something age appropriate for their audience when they microwaved all of those Earth Alliance people in Alaska.
No doubt. Oh, my God. Yo, straight Orville Redenbacher. But, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think Sunrise gives a shit, nor should they give a shit, and who cares what any complainers have to say.
Yeah, as terrible as Destiny was, I didn't see it actually slowing down the violence or the risqueness that series had. So, yeah, I guess it doesn't make much of a difference. As long as the show has a fan base and a viewership, they'll keep up the level of content that they have so far. So, yeah, I do hope they keep the adult vibe for that season as well. And if more people have to get shot in the dome, make sure to double tap.
You always want to double tap.
Hell yeah, man. Yo, Mika, he don't play. But Bright brings up a favorite character in the series. I know a lot of people love this character. He says one of his favorite of Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans Season 1, Atra taking a beating, showing that she's more than just a cute little girl. Mikazuki's face when he finds out. That was a great moment. Atra was neither here nor there for a long time, but when she actually, took that beating and she didn't squeal on her friends, I thought that was an incredible scene, and it showed how much resilience that character had. Showed how tough she was, and I thought I thought a little bit better of Atra at the end of the season.
While that was a good scene for her, the existence of it was just so preposterous.
Damn.
Like, how did that scene even happen? This little 12-year-old girl says that she's Kudelia, who spoke in front of this big political audience years ago. Like, these Gallarhorn guys, they don't have phones, like a Gallarhorn work phone with some kind of space internet where they could type in Kudelia Ina Bernstein and see a picture of her. That she very clearly is not this tiny girl.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
That just doesn't happen. They got space colonies and robots and spaceships, but no smartphones to look up somebody and see that they are not in fact who they claim to be.
Yo, brother, in the Old West, they even had wanted posters, so you figure they would at least have that. Some kind of, image of her so that people could spot her in the street whenever possible. And the people on the street knew who she was. The Dort activists knew who she was. They even brought her in on their protest. So, it makes no sense.
They had been built up to know who she was by a fat guy. But, the people on the news, they knew who she was. Mm-hmm. So why didn't Gallarhorn know who she was?
It is a pretty much
those two guys were pretty stupid.
A plot hole, to say the least. Shout outs to Yazi. He has a few points he wanted to bring up. He agrees with you. He says quite a number of things in Iron Blooded Orphans seems to be inspired by Dougram, like the sparking in the Union rebellion in the Dort colonies. He also says one of the aspects I enjoy about Iron Blooded Orphans is the parts scavenging after the battles to make up for the lack of resources for Tekadon. Yeah, that was pretty cool that they've recycled everything they could get their hands on and rebuilt suits for their own people to use. How they only started out with one suit and then they ended up having several of them by the end of the series. And the characters that you saw that were just going around in normal suits finally got mobile suits, and the damage that they got to do in that was pretty dope. Any thoughts on that at all?
work with what you have, and it's sort of the anti-Voyager effect.
Anti-Voyager.
Where Voyager, no matter how badly it got blown to smithereens, boy, that next episode, it looked shinier than the Enterprise D.
Exactly. It was that gel technology, Chris.
Sure, or the 20 zillion torpedoes they had.
Oh my God!
The 20 zillion being 38.
Yeah, they apparently they miscounted.
Yeah. But I like having to scavenge stuff, and the way that they had to, use those grazes, and the way that they took the Gusian and stripped it down to the rebake.
Mm-hmm.
And just, when you're the scrappy underdog, you have to fight your enemy on the same terms and use whatever you can scrounge up. And if that means using their suits against them, why the hell not?
Yeah, exactly. It kind of reminded me a little bit of MS Saga, that really bad RPG they put out here a couple years ago, where you beat up mobile suits and then you got to collect the parts and build them as well. Yeah, they just went on to show their resilience, and I appreciated that with those characters and how they fought to survive the entire damn way. But man, let's see here. We'll wrap this up in just a moment. Yazi asks, did you guys find the odd timing of Ein in the Grey's without limbs, and with Daryl in the Psycho Zaku in similar time? Daryl. What?
Talking about Thunderbolt.
Oh, thank you. They came out. Oh, they came out around the same time. That's right. Holy shit.
Not really. I mean,
coincidence?
Orphans had already been over for a couple of months. Of course, it was already known by then that Thunderbolt was being done, and the manga had been out. But I would say that it's a coincidence. The idea of people being put inside machines and controlling them—that's not a new thing to mecha anime.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I guess roll of the dice, Yazi. Roll of the dice. But thank you very much for your tweet. Yo, Dalo, the legendary Dalo Relance, who's also in the chat. Shout outs to him. He says, my feelings, IBO was a good show. Well then, Dalo, thank you for that in-depth tweet.
Well, here's another one from Rob Mallard on Twitter saying, IBO S2, Space Whale caused the Calamity War. Space Whale confirmed for S2. # give me the whale.
Give me the whale, yo. Shout outs to Rob Mallard, man. I see him in the chat too. Yo, Rob, how you doing? Yeah, give me the space whale, man. Finally, we'll get the answers we've been seeking. Yeah, never we will.
Hey, man, that Seed movie could still happen.
Oh my God,
it could be just around the corner.
Man, what would we see first?
The corner that we've been trying to round for 10 years, which was the last time they mentioned it. But it could happen.
It could, huh?
Yeah, just like Half-Life 3.
What will we see first? Macross coming back to the world, or the next Seed movie?
Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
There you go. Yo, Gordon, let's go. I'm ready for him. All right. Last but not least, we'll go with shout outs to Austin. He brings up a question here. He says, do you think that Mika's personality / character falls in line with Gundam protagonists like Hiro or Setsuna? If so, if not, why? That's, to me, I don't think he's like them. Because Hiro, even though he had like this sociopathic side, at the end of the day, it's kind of built up, and he eventually kind of warms up. Same thing for Setsuna. He kind of mellows out, and even by the end of the first season, he mellows out. But Mika is more militant at the end of the season, I think. I mean, he has a human side too, but at the same time, he can kill at the flip of a switch. He's not burdened by any kind of morals when he's on the battlefield at all. He will kill an enemy with the quickness, and he doesn't care about rules or any of that shit. He'll take you out if you pose a threat. And
I will partially disagree with you.
Okay.
Because yes, Hiro is a sociopath, but he was also taken in at a young age and trained to be this child warrior special operative.
Yeah.
And if you look at young, impressionable Setsuna, who killed his family, he also later ended up getting taken in by Celestial Being and trained into being Mobile Suit Pilot. But I think that Mika is what Hiro and Setsuna would have been had they just been homeless street rats forever.
Yeah. You know what? You raise a very good point. Then, holy shit.
You know, he's more simplistic. He's definitely a bit more animalistic. You know, he just functions on this sort of simple pain pleasure spectrum of Orga promised to take me where we belong, and I need to fight and kill whoever until we get to the place where we belong. He doesn't think about difficult situations until pretty much the end of the season. So I think he's kind of going in the same direction a little bit as Hiro and Setsuna, but years behind where they were at the same age.
Yeah, that's a very good insight. Then, holy shit, he's the worst case scenario. Is that what you're saying?
Not the worst case scenario, but to quote General Hate, probably what happens when orphans stay orphans.
Oh my god! Speaking of General Hate, man, has he had the chance to sample this show's wares yet?
He likes the show. He liked it. Yeah.
Yo, even with orphans in the title, holy shit!
I know, it's amazing.
Oh my god, dude, we got. If anything, on one of these days, we got to get his take on the show here on Gundam. General Hate, I miss you. I miss you, guy. I miss you, Austin. I know we've had our problems, but I miss you, bro. Well, tell him to go F himself. With my compliments. But any final thoughts on the series? I guess we should definitely pretty much give our overall thoughts at the end. For me, Iron Blooded Orphans definitely was a fantastic watch. Definitely had an intensity to it, to this Gundam series that I hadn't felt in Gundam in a long while. And watching the characters develop and seeing the trials that they went through and them eventually reaching their goals, even with the fact that there wasn't that many fatalities at the end, I still found the show to be a solid watch, and I'm excited about season 2 overall. I would probably give this season overall probably about 4 RoboCop Eins out of 5.
I would say it's a solid show, not without its flaws. If we're comparing it to other split season Gundam shows, of which, of course, there is only one, I would say that 00 season 1 was better than Orphans.
Well, there you go. 00 season 1 was better than the season 1 of Orphans. Really, man?
Yes.
Yeah. I would almost say, man, now you bring that up, I'd say 00 season 1 was slightly better, especially the last couple episodes seemed to be that natural build up. It seemed to have that natural build up as opposed to how the last 2 episodes of the show kind of just throw you into the final battle and there's no warm up to that.
Oh, that's the essential difference. That with 00, you had the sense from the beginning that it was all going somewhere, and it did. Whereas with Orphans, when they were kind of lost in space, you as the viewer felt similarly lost in space. Like, where is this going, and what does any of it mean?
Oh my god. Exactly. Yo, shout out to Fred. He says IBO greater than 00. This man hates 00 so much. Shout outs to Fred Rex. I also see Eric's in the chat. Thanks for coming out, guys. Yeah, I forget that Fred, he's in love with Iron Blooded Orphans. But yeah, now that you bring that up, I would say that 00 it slightly has the edge. Season 1 slightly has the edge over this. But I would definitely put these 2 series in the same pantheon with each other when it comes to Gundam series.
All right, and for my rating, I'm going to be lazy.
Oh,
and just refer to my review average.
There you go.
From the website, which, damn it, I didn't do yet because it's only half the show.
I was about to hear some decibels, man. What happened?
3.75687.
Oh my gosh, we gonna bust out the calculator here.
I'll just go with that number.
There you go. 3.8 million.
Updated when season 2 finishes.
Amen. But that's it for our review for Iron Blooded Orphans Season 1 and the final episodes 16 through 25. Before we close out this episode, you want to do a mailbag question real quick?
Sure, let's do some quick mailbags.
All right, I'm bringing it up now. Our first question, we're going to go ahead and jump ahead to the beginning of 2016 because we are so behind on questions, guys. It's been a while since we've done the show. So if you submitted a really important question, you want to get it truly answered, do me a favor, do two things. Condense it a little bit. And you can resubmit it onto the thread. That's fine. And we'll read it. But we're going to go with...
Actually, before we do that,
Oh,
since
yeah.
we started off the show on a different foot,
Yeah.
I would like to do a very, very minor straight talk.
Oh, please. Oh, God. I'm riveted. Yo, rev up the engine. It's been a while. Dust off that console, man. Let's go. I'm ready for the straight talk. Go for it.
Okay, so, bro, do you, on the Facebook,
Yeah.
ever see any ads from Right Stuff or Nozomi Entertainment?
I from time to time, I believe, yeah.
And are those ads ever for Gundam?
That's a good question. I don't know, not usually.
Okay. Well, if you had seen them, and if you had clicked in the comments, you would find a mix of people who, A, are happy to see it, which is good,
Yeah.
and B, the unfortunately more prevalent in the case of posts about Double Zeta, X, Turn A, whining and complaining and demanding English dubs, some going so far as to say that they will not buy it unless there's an English dub.
What? Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Oh.
If you see them pop up in your timeline, any of these sponsored posts, click on the comments and you will see it for
Wow.
yourself.
That's ridiculous, though. I don't get why. Okay, I mean, granted, I know that I love an English dub, too. Don't get me wrong, stream. I love an English dub to a show, and I'm enjoying the dub for Iron Blooded Orphans right now. But it's not, it doesn't kill my enthusiasm to buy a Blu-ray or DVD. What pisses me off is if 6 months later they release an English dub, but, you know, I've already committed to the version I bought, and I'll just wait till the next format to get the English dub. That's usually how I do it. But continue, sir.
Okay, so here's what I have to say about that. If you're one of these types who complains won't buy a Gundam unless it's dubbed, I'm sorry, but you're just an idiot.
Oh, shit.
No, what? You know what? I'm not sorry. You're just an idiot, and here's the reason why. I see the complaint. I like dubs because I want to multitask and do something while I'm watching anime. Why can't you just watch the anime? Why do you have to be doing something else?
Yeah.
You can't. You're so freaking busy that you can't find the time to just sit down for 22 minutes and watch an episode of anime.
Yeah, and I'm
It's a
saying,
show that you like.
yeah, I mean, how do you normally watch television? By looking at everything but the television? It's like, it's the same problem I have when people go to the movies and want to bust out their phone or talk during the film. And, you know, the people just have no clue. It's like, if you're going to watch a show, watch a goddamn television show. Pay attention. A lot of people worked on that. And, yeah, it's in Japanese. Get over it. At the end of the day, I would love to have everything that I watch to be dubbed, but I know it comes out in Japanese first. So, you know, if I have to get it in just Japanese, so be it. I'll get it in just Japanese. At least I have it.
Here's the other thing. This incenses me even more. People who say they want dubs because they don't like things in Japanese. And my response to that is, but you say that you like Japanese animation,
Yeah.
but you refuse to watch it in its original language. That, to me, is about as senseless as saying, I love Italian food, but not anything that has pasta in it.
That's about right.
Like, it just makes no sense. If you claim that you love Japanese anime, you will at some point just have to deal with the fact that there's some stuff that you're going to watch only in Japanese.
Yeah.
That's just the simple reality of it. And to just really lay it out, these Gundam shows are at least 20 years old. For the most part.
Exactly.
They're a niche product, and mecha is a niche product.
Right.
Dubs cost money. Dubs cost a lot of money. So simple economics dictates that if you have to go through extra costs to release your product, that you have to sell more of that product if you want to make a profit. But if you're talking about a product that only has niche appeal and will not reach blockbuster levels, then adding that unnecessary cost just dooms your product to unprofitability.
Exactly. A lot of animes are also consumed by downloads off the internet or watching streams. So a lot of these shows have already been watched. For people who are actually buying these DVDs or Blu-rays, they've already watched the show and they are encouraged enough to go out and buy the Blu-rays and DVDs. These are not millions of people going out and buying millions of copies. At the best they're going to sell thousands of copies. And the cost of doing a dub is really expensive. If they're going to air it on American television, you're going to get a dub because they're not going to be able to put it on American television with the Japanese subtitle with the subtitle track. They're just not going to be able to do it.
But these ancient shows aren't going on television.
No,
that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I said this before when the Sunrise Right Stuff deal happened. This is Gundam's second chance in America, in the West more broadly. There's not going to be a third chance.
Exactly. If this doesn't do it, then you might as well forget about it because we're not going to get any new series or old series.
Yeah. And I've said this before, but it bears repeating. If you refuse to buy a Gundam series because it doesn't have the dub that you want, the message you are sending to Sunrise and Right Stuff is not dub this and I will buy it. The message you are sending is I don't care about supporting Gundam, because they don't care about your comments on their posts. They don't care about what you say on Twitter or Reddit or Facebook. What they care about is the sales figures. And who gets to look at them? Them, not us.
Exactly.
Who gets to make these decisions? Them, not us. We can influence that by voting with our wallets. So, you know, it's the same sentiment as we repeated so many times during the release of the Origin manga. Put your money where your mouth is. If you really care about Gundam, if you want to support it, you need to buy these products. Again, if the case were that it's an inferior product because it was defective or they had bad translations, then yeah, you want to withhold your purchase. But if it's just the simple thing of you're a whiny crybaby who wants English dubs because, you know, that's your personal preference, get over yourself and realize that not everything is about you.
Yeah, I get it. The heyday of anime in the United States is over. Everything used to get dubbed. Everything used to get dubbed, and companies lost a lot of money because of that shit, and a lot of those companies are no longer here. The few anime companies that actually localize and translate and dub anime out here in the States, they're a handful now, and even they have to pick and choose their battles with that. I'm glad that the Right Stuff is actually bringing over these shows. I actually own the Blu-rays for Mobile Suit Gundam, the original series, plus the original DVDs that Bandai released years ago. I own those too, and I just got Turn A Gundam, both sets. So I'm happy to own those. I can't wait to get my hands on X. Shout outs to a young man by the name of Joseph Diane in the chat. He says, my copies of Gundam X are my babies. My friends also got me the Turn A movies, and when I get some funds, I'm going to buy Build Fighters, which I guess is coming out here, right?
Yes, and try.
And try.
And Char's Counterattack.
And Char's Counterattack, of course, will be dubbed, possibly, because the DVD was. But did they say they're going to dub Build Fighters or try? I'm assuming no.
It's the Asian dubs.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Might be there for novelty.
Oh, no. Well, I hope they stepped up their dub game, because that double Zeta dub. Whew. Ooh.
I don't think it's that bad,
Oh.
but it's probably going to sound weird. Oh. And just so people know, I have put my money where my mouth is because I bought all of this Gundam shit back in the aughts when it was coming out here. I have tons of manga from Tokyopop sitting on my shelf. I have all 12 volumes of the Origin. I have sitting on my Blu-ray shelf MSG, Zeta, all 7 volumes of Unicorn, the 00 movie. I have Double Zeta on order. I still have all of the old Bandai DVDs, and those that I've replaced, I've just given them out to friends, not even trying to sell them to recoup some cash. I gave General Hate my fancy Zeta DVD box set from 2004.
Well, he don't deserve that shit. But you're doing the Lord's work anyway. Good shit.
I'm spreading the gospel of Gundam.
Hey man, you going in foot first, man. That's what's up. If anything, maybe I can learn from you and be able be convinced to part with my original releases of the Mobile Suit Gundam DVDs. No, I'm lying. Them shits will stay on my shelf.
Oh, and I also bought X and Turn A, of course.
Oh yes.
So I gave away my MSG DVDs. I bought those Anime Legends box sets right when the Bandai Apocalypse happened. Never even actually watched them, but I gave them away because I have the Blu-rays now.
Good shit, man. So you're basically upgrading, moving up to the next and probably final format based on disc. And I just say, if you guys can get your hands on Gundam and you really want to support it, whether it comes with a dub or not, get your hands on it. The newer shows are probably going to be dubbed if they come out here. The older shows, unless you want to crowdfund it, that's the only way you're probably going to see those get dubbed. And I don't even think Right Stuff or anybody else who's going to localize these shows are going to go through that trouble. They're just going to get them out, get them produced, and hopefully make a profit off of it so that way they can move on and do the next series. I just want all of Gundam to come to the States. And if it means it's all subtitled, you know what? Back in the day, we used to buy bootleg DVDs of these shows just to get them in our hands so we can watch them back when they weren't so readily available on the internet. So, I'd rather buy a actual legitimate release that's subtitled if I have to. And if I'm going to watch the show, I'm going to pay the F attention to it, as opposed to doing my laundry or taking the deuce or whatever you guys have in mind to do instead of watching the actual show. So, yeah, I don't understand that shit at all.
So, Silver, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So, Right Stuff has been alternating between new releases of Gundam stuff that never came out here and putting back into print old stuff from the Bandai Entertainment days.
Oh.
What's your most anticipated of either of those, whether it's a new release or a reissue on Blu-ray?
Oh my god, from Bandai specifically, I would love a Blu-ray version of Argento Soma. I own the DVDs and I love that show.
I'm talking about Gundam.
Oh, Gundam-wise? Well, I need to get my hands on Zeta, so that's already been done. Gundam-wise, G Gundam would be really awesome.
Well, I got news for you on that.
Oh, shit.
It comes out in Japan in the fall, so don't expect to see it here for a long time.
Oh, damn it. But you know what, though? At least it's coming out. So it's coming out on Blu-ray in Japan in the fall. So
yes.
that means it's possible once that happens. Even if we have to wait a couple years, as long as we get it, even if Blu-ray's going out the door, I'll still buy that shit. I'll still get it if they release that. So on Blu-ray, I want to own G Gundam. I never owned the series. I always borrowed it from Neo or from someone else, but I never owned G Gundam. So to own it on Blu-ray would be fantastic, and I would gladly buy that.
I have still my 12 individual volumes.
Oh shit, man,
Yep.
That was a really cool release too. I love how they released that series on DVD. And props to Bandai if they're grabbing up other Bandai licenses, man. As well as Gundam, man. I'm looking forward to see what they're going to pop out next.
Oh, Yahtzee has a suggestion for you.
What's that?
Sobro wants those 0080 Blu-rays, those young Asian boys in HD.
Yazzie, you're the worst. I don't want young Asian boys in 1280p.
Rob Ballard says, "Oh man, Bernie's Lament remastered."
Oh my fudge. Come on. I would love to own that, though. I'm not going to lie. I would love to own that on Blu-ray, as well as 8th MS Team. Holy shit. Any word on that?
That came out in Japan like 3 years ago at least, so I'm sure it will be reissued here next year. We do know for sure so far that, according to Sean Kleckner, that Wing will be in 2017, and the Blu-rays of that look really nice, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think they'll probably just keep going back and forth with the reissues and the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll probably get those Blu-rays of Seed and Destiny, which I will not buy because I'm not going to support shit that's all cropped up into fake widescreen.
Yeah, if it's not an actual, if it's not remastered or if it's not, if they didn't pull it for the masters and actually upscaled it properly, I don't want to deal with that because I think they pulled that bullshit with Cowboy Bebop initially. And maybe I'm wrong about that. It was some popular series. They put out just a lame upscaled version that looked like shit, and it pissed off a lot of people. And I'm glad I dodged that particular one. But what about Victory?
Victory, I believe, is on the schedule for the end of this year because we know the release is up to September, which is Charge Counterattack. So we still have whatever they're going to release for October, November, December. My money is F91, V-Box 1, and V-Box 2.
Okay.
That's my money. So we'll see soon enough because Sunrise announces these things the first Wednesday of every month.
Not bad. If that's the case, I will. I'll be on the lookout for that. Now that I am working, I can actually set aside a little bit of fundage to get those Blu-rays and DVDs. I still got to get caught up and pick up X because X is fantastic.
So can I, because even though I was always working, now I'm working at a better job.
Hey.
So more disposable income. Yay.
Yo, welcome to being paid. Yes. Yo, it's been too long. But anything else you wanted to straight talk about before we get into the mailbag?
That's it. Shut up and buy Gundam. If it's not an inferior, defective release, shut up and buy it.
There you go. So yeah, man. If you have a problem with there not being a dub, so be it. But you're hurting more than helping. And if you don't think so, when we don't get Gundam anymore, you'll be the first person I blame. So there you go. But we'll do this one question for the mailbag this time, and I'm sure we'll do more in future episodes. But shout outs to Jab02, who writes, Hey guys, simple one here. How do I get my wife into Gundam? That's a crazy question, sir.
Don't.
I have been married for 6 years, coming up this weekend, actually, 4th of July weekend. And my wife, she I think watched Gundam Wing, but other than that, she really hasn't had that strong of interest. She loves Ronin Warriors, so if anything, there's that. But other than maybe the occasional theme song to Gundam, for a Gundam series, especially like for 00, she liked a couple opening and ending themes for that. The most that she sees at Gundam is when I watch it, and it really doesn't grip her. If you want to get your wife into Gundam, I would say introduce her to an OVA, like 0080, or something that's short and sweet, that if it happens to, strike a chord with her, maybe she'll want to watch an entire series. I mean, if you want to dive into it, another great pick is the original movies from Mobile Suit Gundam, the ones they released that encapsulate the original series. So if you want to try that out and see how it takes, you could try that too. But any suggestions, Chris, at all, or give up?
See, I think you're overlooking the fact that this question is deceptively simple, but it's really not, because there's a lot of... If we were speaking in person, I would ask him a lot of follow-up questions, like, is she an anime fan at all?
Yeah.
Because we need to know that. So if she is already not interested in anime, you have that obstacle to get past. Question number 2, that's of equal importance. How does she feel about older animation?
Yes.
Because as we've discussed many times on this show, there are a lot of people who don't like what they consider old anime, and old can be anything older than 5 years or anything older than the year 2000. So that will determine what you do. Just to keep things very, very simple, just go with 00.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. It also depends on what she likes. If she's not into the mecha anime, it's probably not going to be easy to get her into it. But I would say this: do an exchange. And what I mean by that is pick something that she likes that you have not given the light of day at all, something that she's passionate about, and get and you absorb that and see if you actually enjoy that, or have her try to convince you to like that. And then you introduce her to something that's Gundam related that you want her to check out, and guys make a day of it. If there's a movie that she really loves and she wants you to watch it with her, do it. But tell her there's a caveat, and that is, well, after that, we're going to watch a couple episodes of the show. Are you cool with that? And then you can try to make that sales pitch to her and see how that works. Maybe because you actually put out your best effort with what she likes, and you took a moment to try to understand that. And maybe she'll do the same for you, and maybe she'll see something that you like in that, and maybe she'll be able to pull from that too. I'm not saying that that's a guarantee. I'm just saying you put your best foot forward. Maybe she will as well. So.
You certainly got a better case if you are also willing to watch something that she likes. And given all these other factors about the mecha combat, the story development, characters, animation, all of that, if Double O as your baseline works and she's open to older animation, then maybe go with something like X or the original movie trilogy. And if she doesn't like Double O at all, then I would say, well, at least you tried.
Exactly. There you go. And don't make her sit down and watch 10 episodes in a row. Just like enough to be the length of a movie, like 3 episodes. And then
don't pull up like MAHQ or Wikipedia, start explaining all of this complicated history about Xeon and the 1 Year War, like it's a freaking history class.
Yeah. Just let her absorb the show for what it is. And if she takes to it, she'll want to look it up herself. And she'll look up all the all the backstory, or she'll ask you questions, and then you can answer those questions after you watch the episodes. But watch it like a movie, and then if she actually has a passing interest in it, maybe that can blossom into something else. And
my last bit of advice: if there's something you think is particularly representative of Gundam, even if it's something that's out of order, use that as your selling point. Case in point here. My girlfriend had never seen Doctor Who before we got together. And I wanted to introduce her to it. But I knew that the first episode of the revived show would not be the best entry point for that. Do you watch Doctor Who, Soulbro?
I've only watched maybe a one episode or two, but I haven't really watched too many. I've been wanting to get into it though, but I haven't taken the time.
Has one of those 1 or 2 episodes you watched happened to be one called Blink?
Is that the one with
The Weeping Angels?
The Weeping Angels? No, I keep hearing about the one with Van Gogh though. The episode with Van Gogh.
That's a good one. Yeah. So the episode that I introduced her to with this show was in the 3rd season, near the end, in the 10th Doctor's run. So I had to explain just some of the basic elements of, Time Lord, TARDIS, blah, blah, blah. But just the strength and originality of that story sold it to her so much that she wanted to watch the revived show from the beginning. Ooh. And the next thing we watched was the first episode of the 9th Doctor's run. And then after that it was over, I asked her, what sold you better on this show? The first thing I showed you or this right here? Which is Blink sold her better. So
wow.
And then I repeated that with Star Trek because she had seen the movies but had never seen Next Generation.
Oh my god.
So I knew that Farpoint was just an awful episode and not the place to start.
Most of season 1 and 2 you just might as well skip.
So I hooked her with Yesterday's Enterprise.
Oh, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one at all. Holy shit. Man, so what were her thoughts on that?
She loved it, and we kept watching more, so I've just been sort of showing her the best of Next Gen, trying to do all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
And she loves the show, so
that's awesome.
Pick something of Gundam. Even if it's like, let's say you're going 00. If there's one specific episode that really captures everything that's not the first episode, just go with it and explain lightly as needed, but not to an overbearing degree.
All I know is the only show I think I got my wife into was not MasterChef, but Hell's Kitchen. At first, when we met, she didn't really care for watching the Gordon Ramsay shows, and then one particular day we started watching it. First, I was watching it in the living room for some reason. She loves cooking shows, and she got sucked in, and now we watch everything with Gordon Ramsay in it. So there you go. And shout out.
Dude, that doesn't even count.
Oh my! I know.
It doesn't even count. That's reality shows.
It is.
It's like
there's
no storyline. There's no
It's a low bar. I know.
It's just Gordon yelling at people, which is
Yes.
that doesn't like need much introduction.
It's
He
the
yells
best.
at people who displease him.
I gotta give Christopher Mallard, Chris Mallard. The Mallard brothers are here. The Super Mallard brothers. Chris Mallard says, "Tell her you'll watch Fixer Upper. Joke's on her. That show's great." Chris, you ain't lying. I fucking love me some DIY shows and some HGTV shows. Property Brothers all day, my brother. Let's go. I'm boring. Oh my God. Bright Star Song says the ep that Tasha Yar dies. Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah, with the disgusting oil monster that's just kind of there. Yeah, that's a great episode.
Oh my God.
Oh, Yahtzee says, "So, bro, you didn't show your wife that masterpiece that is Street Fighter 2V."
Yo, Yazzie, I'm gonna slap you. Jesus. Oh, Yazzie, why do you torture me? Good shit. But I gotta give props to Jabo too for that question. Thank you so much, and for everybody else who submitted questions for the mailbag. We'll go ahead and get to those in a later episode. Also, you guys can submit questions by way of Twitter. I should have mentioned this at the top of the show, but every episode we're going to be using a hashtag. In this episode, it was hashtag Gundam Live 176. Next episode, of course, will be Live 177, and so on and so forth, corresponding with the episode number. But yeah, if anything, we're gonna wrap this up. But Chris, any thoughts before we go ahead and close out this episode, our first live episode of Gundam and MAHQ, at least on stream anyway?
Everyone who disagrees with me about everything is wrong and is a horrible person. The end.
There you go.
or at least that's what the internet says of me. So it might as well be true, right?
Exactly.
I'm just gonna be this cartoonish villain from now on, just for shits and giggles.
Yo, mustache twirling. There you go. Good. Chris is now. Was it Dick Dastardly? Good shit. Put on your top hat, bro. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the show tonight. If you guys don't know, make sure to check out mahq.net, the Mecha and Anime headquarters, where all the magic happens. That's where we're based out of. And also make sure to check out mechatalk.net. That's the official forums for mahq.net. Go there, sign up, become part of the conversation. Check us out on Facebook, as well as on Twitter at mahq.net and at Gundam at MAHQ. And also, Chris, what do you guys have cooking for Chaos Theater, man?
Well, just recently, we did Batman versus Superman versus Civil War.
Ah, damn it.
And knowing me as you do, take a guess out of which of those two movies I didn't like.
Oh my God, I would imagine it was Civil War. I'm lying, of course. Batman, I never asked you. Did you hate Man of Steel, or did you find any kind of entertainment with it at all?
I thought it was okay but flawed when I first saw it, but upon subsequent rewatch and further thought, I dislike it more and more.
Oh man.
But it's better than Batman vs. Superman, which ain't saying much, but still something.
I gave Batman v Superman a barely passing grade for the theatrical cut. But now that this new cut is out, I am kind of interested in seeing how it's. People say it's improved. I just don't know by how much. Some people say it's barely improved. Other people say it's vastly improved with this new cut. So it's over 3 hours, but that's the original version that's not only did the executives see, but focus groups saw, and they all enjoyed the movie before it hit theaters. So I'm hoping.
How is an extra half hour going to make Jesse Eisenberg any less shrill or less annoying?
It's not.
How is an extra half hour going to make Batman any less of a moronic, murder-obsessed freak?
He was a murder machine in that movie.
How is an extra half hour going to make Martha any better? Those questions. I suspect the answer is it's not.
Oh my God.
Maybe there's something in there that makes this movie a little bit better, but I have to think that some of those people who are saying that it's vastly better are just people who want to love this movie so much that they are deluding themselves into saying that it's better.
I know at
That's the
least
real experience.
I know at least one or two people outright hated the original film. They couldn't stand it, and they actually enjoyed this one a whole lot more than they vastly enjoyed the uncut version. So it was like night and day to them in a sense. Like they were outwardly angry at the original theatrical release, and they couldn't wait to tell everybody how bad it was. And then they saw the other version and they liked it a whole lot more, and they gave it a favorable rating. So for some people it is night and day. I don't think it's going to be like that for me when I watch it. I think it's going to just be slightly better. I'm just wanting the story to make more sense when it comes to the different the transitions from scene to scene. So I guess we'll see. But when's that episode coming out for Chaos Theater?
Oh, it's already out.
Oh, well, shit.
It's been out.
Well,
So, if I ever get around to seeing it, which the thought of spending another 3 hours watching this stuff again is about as appealing as going to the dentist and having teeth pulled,
yeah.
I will share my comments. But I just can't, as of now, imagine how making this movie longer will help it when, if anything, it should have been a lot shorter.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really hard sell for me.
Well, damn. But guys, if you never checked out Chaos Theater before, it's MAHQ's other podcasts. They cover pretty much everything outside the world of mecha anime, all sorts of genre fiction, whether it be in movie form, television form, video games, anime, you name it, they cover it. Comic books even. Check it out over on chaostheater.blogspot.com. You can also find them on iTunes. Just search for Chaos Theater. And also you can find them on Twitter if you go to CTcast. And if anything, I hope you guys subscribe to the show as well. Other than that, the only thing I wanted to let you guys know about, we have another channel called, we have other channels here in the Shinjuku Station Pantheon, but one in particular is a channel called Shinjuku Station EU, or Shin Station EU. They do commentary streams, and they're going to have some commentary streams going on this weekend for, looks like, I forget what that show's called, something of the... Anyway, check it out. Go to tinyurl.com.
Good job.
Good job
with
selling
that
it.
salesmanship.
Oh my god, I am the worst.
The thing, they're doing the thing with this stuff.
They do commentaries on anime all the time. They recently did commentaries on Double O and Iron Blooded Orphans, and the archive is still up there on the channel. So if you guys have time, go there by going to tinyurl.com/shinstation.eu and check out the archives. They stream on the weekends starting on Friday at 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So if you guys want to check it out, join Archetype Saber and Sixer Mason for their commentaries on all sorts of different anime shows, and let them know that we sent you. They'll be joining me tomorrow night actually for commentary on Zone of the Enders. We'll be doing another stream over on tinyurl.com/shinstation. Actually, it's bit.ly/shinstation. It used to be tinyurl, but that's gone now. Join us over there tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m. for our commentary stream on Zone of the Enders, the anime. And I hope you guys come out for that too. But other than that, man, I think that's it. If there's nothing else, guys, thanks again for tuning in for Gundam at MAHQ, the live show. If you listening to the MP3, tune into the next live show in 2 weeks, and we'll see you guys there, man. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you guys later.
So it's been a lot of fun, but, well, I guess that's all.
I don't wanna go alone without you. Wish I had someone to come and take me home like you.
さすが私専用のコックピットシートだ。見事に私を支えてくれる。
大佐
分かっている。1.2 リッター直噴ターボとはな。
大佐オイスが私の心に触った感じなんです。
さらにできるようになったな。オリスジオニックトヨタ。
Check the technique. Check the technique.